Hello, and welcome to 20 Lore Pro, a community of Lorcana players who enjoy deck building, competing, and opening Lorcana product. You can find out more at our Discord community, 20 Lore Pro/Discord, link in the description. We have tons of upcoming events, deck lists, and deck discussions. Like in today's video, we'll be joined by Noimnot, examining his Ruby Amethyst Crabby Jund deck list, which has over 3,100 comments in our 20 Lore Pro Discord. We appreciate Noimnot giving us a deep dive into his specific deck list and learning more on how to play this popular deck. Hello and welcome everybody to 20 Lore Pro. Today I have with me Noimnot, and we're going to be doing a deck discussion over Crabby Jund. This is a deck list that he made a while back, and it's seen a lot of great play and discussion in the 20 Lore Discord group. Noimnot, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, it's going good. So tell us a little bit about yourself before we jump into the deck discussion.
Yeah, okay, so my name's Kendall. I'm not. I guess most people in the Discord know me, but yeah, my name's Kendall. I am a Marine Corps veteran, and I've been playing like TCGs off and on competitively for probably about 11 years, but they've kind of just been around me since I was like a teenager or younger.
Wow, that's awesome. And thank you so much for your service. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
What was the first TCG that you got into when you were a kid?
Being really young, like in elementary school, I had Pokemon cards and Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but
Yeah.
like I never like learned like, you know, the real rules of the game, you know, you just kind of just played around with them. But I would say probably when I was probably like 12 or 13, I actually went to like an art summer camp and kind of got into Magic there. Like some of the other kids there were playing Magic, so nothing like competitive or anything, but that was like kind of like my first introduction to Magic, and it kind of stuck with me through my like teenage years. But I didn't get into them like competitively until after I had gotten out of the Marine Corps.
Well, what initially got you into Lorcana? I know a lot of players, they make the jump from Pokemon or Magic or One Piece, and they hear about Lorcana and they get into it, but kind of what drew you to the game?
I guess it's just more so kind of like it's like obviously like a nostalgic like IP, so you can kind of just, you know, relate more to the cards. Like I didn't necessarily get into like Magic lore or anything, just playing the game, but you know, you just see like familiar characters and stuff like that. And as far as like organized play goes, I just kind of haven't been happy recently with like direction Magic has really taken. And so obviously this hasn't been announced for Lorcana or anything like that, but it's very, I guess, exciting to be part of something from like the start, and just, you know, hopeful that organized play is going to be like something big, since it's Disney.
Yeah, I know so many of us have been discussing kind of what maybe next Gen Con looks like and maybe some new announcements that might come out, but you know, it's something that we'll have to see as the time goes on, especially with more sets coming out.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
what brought you over to 20 Lore Pro, the Discord group that your deck list is posting in, that a lot of people have been discussing?
I was in like the original Pixelborn Discord. Like I had just started playing Pixelborn. I feel like I saw Jeebus post something about this Discord, 20 Lore, or Masters of Lorcana, which what it was at the time, saying, you know, like this Discord, you know, is just kind of like focused on more like competitive players, stuff like that, like more GMs and stuff had joined this Discord, and so, you know, if you were just like interested in the competitive aspect of the game, kind of just like go here.
Yeah, Jeebus has been around for a long time, probably even since like the beginning. And
Yeah, and it's kind of funny. I actually remember him from Storybook Brawl. I played that for a little bit as well, and I know he streamed that too.
oh wow, that's great. And you were talking earlier about just the Disney IP and all the memorable characters. I've had the go back and rewatch a bunch of the films because I'll see the card and be like, oh man, like I don't even remember where that character's from. Like I need to rewatch it.
Right. Yeah. I think that was kind of like me with like all the new like Merlin Metamim stuff. Like you just like I never remembered that like an actual movie, so then like I just like go back and watch it. And you're like, oh wow, I haven't seen this in like years, and they're just like
Oh no.
having a battle and changing to different characters and stuff. But
This is really a memorable film.
yeah.
Do you have a favorite Disney movie that you like to watch now that you've been into the game?
I haven't watched it recently. I would say like my all-time favorite Disney movie, like the one I remember watching the most as a kid, was Rescuers Down Under.
Oh yeah, that one's really good.
Yeah.
And so just kind of a little playful question, but who do you think would win in a fight between Dragon Maleficent or Dragon Madam Mim?
I think definitely Maleficent would.
Yeah, she, in that movie, that shield definitely helped that guy, but I think between the two, you're right. I think Maleficent's got a little bit more malevolence to her.
Right.
So moving on, looking at your deck, we have it up here on the screen for everyone to see. This is the Noimnot Crabby Jund. This is his version of the deck. It has gone through a couple of iterations and changes over the time from the Discord group and from your playing. But where does the name of the deck come from?
So I had originally just called it Jund as like an ode to MTG, like the Jund deck in Magic, which obviously I know that's probably confusing for some people that haven't came from Magic, but essentially Jund is just kind of like a mid-rangey strategy that is looking to like attrition and outvalue your opponent, and just playing like a lot of 2-for-1s and a lot of the like best cards that you can on curve. So that's like where I guess Jund kind of came from, and then slowly over time as like the meta has evolved, like I think Crab has just become part of the deck, even though it's not like a 4-of or anything like that. But I wanted to keep my like original Jund list and test out Crabs when it was first being like introduced, and so like I just had thrown it up there as Crabby Jund. But
I remember in the Discord group, Jeebus and some others posting some crab memes and emotes, getting on the bandwagon.
yeah, Crab is like surprisingly like one of the, I guess, like the sleepers of the deck. So definitely some good memes for him, and yeah, I guess we'll get like further into that deck list, but
Yeah, we have the deck list up, and kind of walk us through just overall some of the cards that are highlights, and maybe some of your like, this is the MVP of the deck, in your opinion.
right. So I guess like starting off with the list, um, my personal version, like I use 8 1-drops. Some people may, think that's like a lot or overkill, but I mean, honestly, sometimes I feel like I want more 1-drops. I think that the best start to this deck is going 1-drop into Snake, or your 1-drop into Teeth and Ambitions, to kill their 1 or 2-drop. But definitely, as I played the deck more, I felt like the most important thing was to have the Metamim Snake on 2, just because a 3/3 on 2 is a really big body to like contest the board. It eats everything, and it'll get you your like early lore for the game. In the 3-drop slots, like obviously Maleficent Sorceress has just been there since set 1, and Minnie Mouse Surfer. So I guess I could just quickly say that like I think that Minnie Mouse Surfer is one of the MVPs of the deck. She's really good at getting you early lore and even like helping you win games, stealing games that you shouldn't win. And like getting early lore to like finish off your opponent, maybe with like bouncing the Merlin goats.
I've been so surprised by when I played this deck and play tested it, just how much Minnie Mouse really gives you an advantage, especially with the evasiveness.
Yeah, she's very hard to answer in the mirror match. Kind of not like a real clean answer right now. So like if you're protecting her with some like Tremaine, I would say Tremaine fodder, you know, because your opponent in the mirror match is going to be trying to, you know, Tremaine her, remove her. Like if she goes uncontested, you're just gonna like win the game. But
And it feels so good to drop that Tremaine right after a Be Prepared.
Yeah, Be Prepared and Tremaine, really good. My personal like MVP of the deck, one of probably like my favorite cards of the set is the Merlin Rabbit. Just really great card. You know, it's a draw 2 on a body, and if they don't answer it and you're bouncing it, it's just accruing you more cards. So, you know, I played Red Purple a lot in season 1, and you know the MVP or all-star of that deck was Magic Mirror, and this is just kind of like a Magic Mirror that can quest and has a better rate. And so really fun card to play with.
And honestly, the
So
art is really good on it too. Like it's such a cute little like running away.
yeah, a little rabbit with a Merlin mustache.
You see Madame Mim's eyes in the background, like chasing him down.
And then yeah, so like overview, I guess like it's kind of like standard like the Madame Mim and Merlin package of like goats, rabbits, you know, snakes, fox, and then a couple crabs. Those are kind of just like staples of the deck. Maui, he's always just been a really good body. Basically, again, like another 2-for-1 that you're looking to get, and when he's not good, he's ink. Lady Tremaine also quickly became one of my favorites when the set first came out, and she was really good like early on in the meta. I mean, I still think she's good, but obviously you can tell like people have gotten better about like playing around her. So another reason why like 8/1 drops is pretty good in your deck.
That's something to be mindful about, is that, you know, as the meta changes, decks become more popular, the strategies that were good at one point have to evolve in order to adapt to kind of the changes that people are making to really fight against what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
So now that we've seen kind of the overview of the deck and some of the main cards that make up what the list is, you talked about earlier with Jund that it's more of a mid-rangey 2-for-1 feel, but what do you feel like the deck's overall strategy is?
Like you're trying to grind or outvalue your opponent by playing your best cards on curve, multiple 2-for-1s. I guess in a perfect game or whatever, you're trying to like stave off early aggression with like your bigger bodies, like 1-drop into Teeth or 1-drop into Snake and Madame M Fox, to move into the mid game with like bouncing the Merlin Rabbit over, accruing more cards. Eventually you're going to move into like a late game where you're like double spelling with Mims and Tremaine, Rabbit, Ursula, Dragon, whatever. So getting into like, you know, higher ink to be able to do that, like do those sort of double spells. And then like if the game ever, you know, gets out of control, you have Be Prepared as just kind of like a safety valve. You can kind of, you know, like lure your opponent into overextending into it, making them think you don't have it, or maybe they just didn't care and they did that anyways, and then you can just kind of punish them by resetting the board. So I guess that's basically what you're trying to do in a nutshell.
Yeah, Be Prepared is a card that everyone, I think, who plays any piece of competitive Lorcana has seen. It just really changes the state of the game. What made you play this, specifically even this deck, over other decks? Or why do you think people should try it out at least?
When I first had started playing around with Red Purple, I obviously was like I was trying a more like Arthur focused variant, like art with Arthur and LeFou, and that has kind of been I've kind of left that strategy alone, but it has been like explored by other people. So I think there is like a red-purple like aggro variant as well. But for this one, for this like archetype, like the Jund version, I could say like the slower mid-rangey version. I think there's like not really any like polarized matchups that you have where like you are, you know, so unfavored, like the game's not winnable. I feel that like even like your worst matchups can be winnable. Like you just, you know, you kind of have game against everything. You know, you're not playing some like a hyper aggro deck that's super weak to steel, or you know, you're not playing some steel deck that is like kind of weak to mid-range, I think. But yeah, I would definitely play this version if you just kind of like grindy games and with like multiple thinking like game decisions, and if you like winning too, I guess. Yeah, I would play this.
That's something I've heard from just a lot of people, that this deck, it does have some tough matchups, but it never feels like you don't have a chance to win. Like there's always a package or play that you can put yourself in the best position to have a comeback.
Right, and that's generally like the type of strategies that I do like to play. And I mean, as an example, like just this past week, I split top 4 of a 2K in Knoxville, Tennessee. Round one,
Congrats.
round one I played against yellow purple hyper aggro, and that is considered like a bad matchup for this deck. However, like I won 2-1. And then at some point later on this past week, I was in a single elimination tournament for a Lady Tremaine, and in the finals of that, it was like a 3-round bracket. In the finals of that, I had to play against green steel discard, which is like, I guess, considered another bad matchup, or they can have like a really good draw against you. And again, like I was able, like I won that bracket, won the Tremaine by beating discard in the finals of that tournament. So again, like your bad matchups, I feel, are still winnable. Like at worst, I think maybe your odds of winning your worst matchups might be like 40-60, which is still like, to me, you know, like kind of close to a coin flip. But
Yeah, no, I mean, for that to be your odds against your worst matchups is, I mean, really what you're looking forward to playing in a deck. Now, we talked a little bit about your, you know, worst matchups, weaknesses. Which deck do you, when you see it sitting across the table from you, gives you the most worry when you're playing against it?
yeah, again, I think it probably it's a toss up between yellow, purple, or green steel. Now, it's probably more yellow, purple, like the hyper aggro deck, just because they are obviously trying to win the game very fast. So, green steel, you can have some grindy games as long as they just don't shred your hand completely, like at the start. Then you kind of have maybe a non-game. But I feel like the longer the game goes on with this deck, the higher chance you have of winning. Yellow purple aggro that's looking to probably kill you like on turn 4 or 5 is probably the scariest thing. And you definitely want to be like on curve with them as well when you're playing against it.
And those amber steel aggro decks and the emerald steel discard have really picked up in popularity. And we saw a 150-person French tournament where the emerald steel discard got second place, which has been kind of its highest placing in tournament competitively. But for the amber amethyst matchup, what are your lines that you're looking for to really try to beat that deck out? I know you said that trying to get to the late game or even the mid-range deck, to the mid game, is kind of what you're aiming for, but what cards kind of get you there?
Yeah, it obviously depends on what, you know, what they're opening with, but it's definitely going to be like some combination of a 1-drop, like your 1/3 into Teeth and Ambitions, and then bouncing it with either Snake or Madam M Fox at that point. You just try to, you want to try to like just use those cards early to like trade, and keep the board clear, and then hopefully, you know, you can just live to where they're just starting to play one spell at that point, and then like once you get up into higher ink, like 7+, you know, your Lady Tremaine or Ursula and stuff like that, it's gonna like take over the game. But yeah, it definitely is. I think the matchup's definitely decided in the early turns. You don't want to really try to race them. Again, you're just looking to like trade. So
Yeah, as this deck has evolved and changed, some additions, you know, we talked about earlier the Crab, but also Ursula has been an inclusion that originally I think your first list didn't have any, and now it has 3 of them.
yeah, so Ursula was added to the deck as like there was like a higher uptick in like steel decks. And Ursula is just great against steel decks. Like a 2/8 body is pretty brutal for any steel deck. So another great 2-for-1 card. Like she replaces herself. They lose a lore, you know, and like she quests for 3, so she's gonna close the game out really fast. But the more steel is popular, the better like Ursula is, and so that's kind of why she was added. Um, wasn't really like my original idea, I don't think, but for the list that you know I've given, it's been like the most recent inclusion, and that's just as a nod to like the steel decks.
Yeah, that's something that I really appreciate a lot, is that in the 20 Lore Pro Discord group, that there's a lot of great players who kind of pitch in ideas and they'll play test, and I've seen so many of them like report back and be like, oh no, like this card didn't work out, or oh no, this card was great, I used it at this tournament at my local. And it's helped me in my version of the list that I've been playing, as I develop and grow kind of what I'm trying to do with my decks. But what would you consider some of the flex cards that people are kind of talking about in this list that people are including more of or less of, or maybe even taken out entirely?
Yeah, so I think like Ursula, like that slot right there is kind of the first flex slot. If you've like followed the deck list from the beginning, literally like just a few weeks ago, the 2-drop Excerpt Pinocchio was kind of like in this spot, and that was because hyper aggro was like more prevalent, at least on the Pixelborn ladder. As Steel started to take over, obviously, there's less hyper aggro because that's worse against steel. So now that steel is a more popular deck, well, now Ursula can be put into the deck instead of the Pinocchios. Gizmo was a card that I've had in my deck for a long time, and like in this list, it's just not anymore. Other flex slots that I've seen people trim on numbers of Maleficent and Lady Tremaine. Tremaine specifically, I probably wouldn't play less than 3. I've seen people play anywhere from 2 to 4 Dragon Maleficent, and as well as Maui. I've played anywhere from 2 to 4 of those as well. So it's really just kind of gauge kind of like what your local meta is going to be to kind of change like these like kind of flex slots around. The core, you know, 50 to maybe 55 cards of the deck is like pretty solid, and then you just have like a few slots that you can kind of work around with. Teeth and Ambitions, I think, is another card that I've seen like trimmed some now too, just because like hyper aggro is less prevalent. Those are cards that you're obviously going to want in that matchup. You can like sacrifice that matchup if you want altogether because it is bad, and just kind of be like, hey, it is what it is, and add like other cards that you want.
Yeah, that's something that it really affects decks when the format switches from more people playing like aggro to then playing more mid to long range, especially with some of those Amber Steel Song, where you're really getting like late into the games and they're trying to wheel super early, and it really changes up how you're trying to play these decks. If you have time, we'd love to see some gameplay and maybe even afterwards look at what kind of the perfect hand or cards that you might want to mulligan. You think you have a second to do that?
Yeah, sure.
So we're here with Noimnot watching some gameplay of him playing Crabby Jund. So what do you kind of
playing against
go ahead?
Taylor. I was gonna say this is someone that's actually in the Discord as well, but
Oh, that's great.
yeah. So we are going first. Ideally, like I said, you definitely want a 1-drop. So you definitely don't want your high cost uninkables, and because like again we do play 8 1-drops, I'm definitely fishing for one of those. So I'll keep the snake and like ship everything else back. And because I'm on the play, I'll mulligan or keep the rabbit as well. But on the draw, I might be more inclined to go ahead and ship the rabbit also. So I'll mulligan and hopefully draw one drop. If not, then see how it goes.
But sometimes you can't. The mulligan system in Lorcana has been really good, but still can't always control, even though having 8 cards, 8 versions of a card in the deck.
Yeah. That's one thing I do like about Lorcana, I guess, is you are kind of rewarded for like your mulligan decisions and like what you ink throughout the game. So we'll see how it goes. So they have inked Simba into Cinderella. So like I'm gonna guess this is either one Amber Steel or this could be the purple yellow like hyper aggro deck.
It's great that he's hiding, or that Sailor's hiding their color.
Yeah, I'm still hiding the second color. So there's a one drop kinda not on time. I think we can still play it, though. Kinda makes me wish I didn't throw away the fox now, but
Yeah, that Simba with the bodyguard just protecting those singers like that.
okay, let's definitely. I am gonna play the snake. Just kind of choosing what I want to ink here. Because I haven't like, I might want to still teeth the Cinderella, so I kind of want to keep that. I think I'm gonna go ahead and just ink the Maleficent. Alright, so Amber Steel. Kind of unfortunate that we have 2 Ursulas in our hand, because they're more than likely getting wheeled. But we'll see.
I'm impressed that they hid their second color for so long to get to this point.
Okay. So this is obviously kind of problematic. Let's check what they wheeled. So they had another whole new world. So they can shift the Cinderella next turn. So I think I would still like to get rid of that. I'm gonna sing teeth here.
Oh, that's smart. Saving your ink cast.
They got their Simba. Now they can, you know, eat our Madamim, but it prevents them from questing. So now we're ideally just trying to live until 7 to play this Be Prepared if they let us. So now like the game plan is just living to Be Prepared and trying to, you know, play around the wheel again. I guess it's good that they've already wheeled one of their wheels, so.
Yeah, playing against steel, just always that worry of getting wheeled. Like, you save up all of these resources, or you have these lines of plays, and just lose them out from under you.
Okay, so I'm fine with trading with the Simba. And then what we can do here is actually play crab. We don't have a target. Well, we have a target in that. But when I play the fox and pick it up, crab will be able to target fox, and we can actually take out their stitch. So now it's a little less scary. They have to have a shift into wheel. They probably will play a surfer, the inked one. Surfer would be a good follow-up, I guess, here before they get Be Prepared.
Yeah, I like that line with the crab, the meta mim, just being able to bounce and use that rush to get in.
So obviously a great spot for Be Prepared here, just deciding on what I want to get rid of. They are a wheel deck, so it could just be friends. However, they didn't pick one up off the 2 aerials, so. We're also nowhere close to winning, so I think it could also just be a goat. So. I think I'm gonna goat. Be prepared. And our hand's not that great, so hopefully they don't have like a crazy follow-up, but single Cinderella and a 1-drop. So this is a good follow-up. So they obviously don't get protect against Lady Tremaine. Note they have a grab your swords.
Yeah, it's something that the queen is so good at, just being able to shift for like no at all, basically.
Yeah, shifting on 2 is really good.
Let's see.
So they played 3 whole new worlds, or have gone through 3 of them, so only 1 more left of those to worry about. And I guess it's kind of good that we've gotten to use our Be Prepared, and they haven't gotten rid of any by wheeling, so hopefully they play a couple more cards into this one.
Yeah, it seems pretty good to have a board state like this to pick up into a Be Prepared off that draw.
Okay, so they obviously are playing around it or don't want to sacrifice too much more into this. It would also be really great if we had another Teeth here, because we could like kill the queen, Teeth their 2-drop, and then Tremaine their Cinderella, and not having to burn this Be Prepared. But it's not the case. It's all a quest, and then Be Prepared. And we'll ink. Check how many grab your swords. So they only have one grab in the graveyard, or banish zone, whatever we'll call it. So multiples of those in their deck. I think I'm just fine for holding this Olaf for like future ink as well. Fine with playing one as a 1-drop, just in case we have to pick up for a snake or a fox. Probably most scared of them going Rockstar into like multiple 1-drops here.
Yeah, just being able to pick them all up and draw. Yeah, Surfer Stitch doesn't seem too good right here, huh?
Okay, so this is like best case scenario. They played a big expensive creature and no cheap creature to protect it for Tremaine. So obviously that's where, you know, Tremaine shines. So if this is the case, I am gonna be playing this turn. Obviously I'm gonna be playing Tremaine. So deciding here whether I want to go Tremaine into 4-drop, and is that gonna be Rabbit or Goat for like, or Goat for more pressure, Rabbit to kind of draw into like more answers. I also have the option of going like Tremaine into Mini into the Olaf as well, but let's see. Alright. I think I am down to play Rabbit to see what we draw first. And it's a snake. So here, I'm gonna ink this Olaf. Play Tremaine. Quest for 1. Hopefully their follow-up is like another big creature. This is gonna let us quest for Tremaine, pick it back up with Snake, and replay the Tremaine.
Yeah, that sounds like a dream line right there.
Yeah, it's definitely like, obviously this is what your deck wants to do. So it's good that we're being able to do that.
And I believe if they've already used 3 of their whole new worlds.
Yeah, we only have to worry about 1. So we'll see. We can play a cheap creature, yeah. Alright, so not ideal. Eight, 12, okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm still down to just like nab one of their creatures. Even though like clearly they're gonna sacrifice queen, but what this does is like, this doesn't let them like shift. So all we have to worry about is the beast. And the beast, they're obviously looking to draw cards. They don't necessarily want to like get into combat. So replay the Tremaine. If he quests with the beast, we can obviously take it out on board, or even with a Maui. And I am happy to also quest with these, because if he's attacking these, then it's putting damage on the beast, and he's not going to be drawing cards. Happy to ink a Maui here. Play out the Minnie Mouse. So we have 7 lore in play. They only have 2. Probably most worried about like a Tinkerbell into Grab Your Swords.
Yeah, this is really turning out to be like kind of the description that you were giving us earlier, the really Jund mid-range, the late game, really the sweet spot that we're in here.
Yeah, I think the start of the game kind of looked a little grim, but it's kind of worked out in our favor. Definitely again, like I said, the longer the game goes on, I just feel like you're more favored to win those games. So they hard cast grab your swords because they don't want to give this beast up. They're trying to draw more cards for this. So let's go ahead and draw off rabbit. See what we draw. Be prepared. So not great to be prepared my board here when all they have is a beast in play, even though this would like cut them off cards. I don't think you necessarily need to do that yet. So I'm just going to quest out, play a goat. So I'm fine with not inking, just keeping the Maui as an answer to the beast without having to attack into it. I'll go ahead and just play this Minnie Mouse, just cause they have the fourth wheel. It's just an extra quester. They have probably 2 more grab your swords left in the deck. So, pass. Tinkerbell is gonna clean up a lot of these. Good draw from rabbit. Oh, okay.
Just what you were talking about, the Tinkerbell into the crab.
So I mean, we still do get some value here though, and like now, like this is great. Like we have no creatures. Like this is perfect for her be prepared, right? I don't think we don't have lethal anyway here, so like I'm literally be prepared, get rid of their board, and play mini, 1 drop. So this is, they've used 3 grab your swords now, so obviously they would need another tink in their last grab your swords. Get rid of this board. So they pass back to us. We have 19 and then 20 with the goat.
Wow, good game. That was literally textbook what you were talking about. Well, that was gameplay from Noimnot with Crabby Jund. We really appreciate you talking through the deck with us and sharing a little bit of your knowledge and gameplay. Is there anything that you want to share before you leave just about the deck and your experience with Lorcana?
Yeah, so like I feel like this is kind of gonna be my deck of choice, you know, with some variations of cards. Like I said, like maybe like 50 to 55 of the core cards, and then there are a few flex slots I feel like that are in the deck that can change from tournament to tournament. But yeah, I've had fun playing this kind of strategy in all TCGs. I enjoyed Red Purple a lot in Season 1. Uh, Obviously, this is still a great deck for the second chapter, and then hopefully it's still some semblance of strategy for the new set that's going to be coming out. So that's pretty exciting. As far as like Lorcana, I've had a great time playing it, meeting new players from other TCGs, and I definitely look forward to any sort of, you know, like organized play announcement that I know like they're getting ready to make. The last I've heard is they will be making some announcement in January and looking to start this in Q2 for like official organized play. So that's very exciting. I will definitely be looking to travel to any kind of big tournaments for Disney / Ravensburger. So definitely, I guess, like, look out for me there. To the 20 lore audience, thanks for, I guess, the support and like the interest in the deck. Like the hive mind of players that have compiled in that deck thread, that have suggested, like updates or results from their tournaments, ladder play, and just stuff to help improve the deck. That's been very helpful. As far as like where you can watch me play, a lot of times I have streamed games in the actual Discord. I've kind of had a hiatus, but definitely looking to get back into that. My Twitter handle is at actual Noimnot, capital A, capital N. Not sure if that matters. And I do have a Twitch channel as well where I have not streamed games, but definitely, I guess, like looking to get back into that. So my Twitch would be X, no, I'm not X. But yeah, those are, I guess, my socials where you can follow me for updates, as well as the 20 lore Discord thread. Like, people are always making updates in that deck discussion. But yeah, I appreciate the time for listening to this deck interview, I guess.
Yeah, thank you so much. No, I'm not. We really appreciate your time and all that you've done and all the gameplay you put in. We will be doing another deck discussion later on, and be looking forward to seeing that in our 20 Lore Pro YouTube, where we have a playlist of tournaments, other deck discussions, and box openings. And we'll catch y'all in the next video.